All right, hello, and this is the Pro Wrestling Program. My name is Kyle, and we have the quarterly hour ratings from AEW Dynamite on November 15th, 2023, which, if you haven't seen my video, was not my favorite show at all. I thought it was just utter crap from top to bottom for the most part. They could have done things a different way. The booking was atrocious, and all my favorite wrestlers weren't there. So, I mean, it's really hard for me to enjoy this kind of show, especially with some of the things that they do. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. Let's talk about the actual quarterly hour ratings. So the actual show did 823,000 views on average. This is the new norm, 800,000. This is the go home show to Full Gear. But your biggest match was the 4 versus 4 match. It kind of kept some of the audience because we lost so much in quarter two. So we're going to go into that. Let's dive into this. The first quarter one, 8 to 8:15 p.m. was the tag team match between Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta versus Hook and Orange Cassidy. 966,000 viewers. This was the highest point of the show. And they had play-by-play ads as well during this 15 minutes. Afterwards, we got the conclusion of this match. Quarter two, 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. We lost 13%, 842,000. Over 100,000 people tuned out. Over 120,000 people tuned out. This was the biggest drop of the show by far. And then afterwards, it kind of just stays steady for the most part throughout the entire show. We'll kind of go over everything here. But I figure nobody really cared about watching an Orange Cassidy match. Even in the beginning of the show, if he continues into quarter two, people are starting to dip out. I like that we're starting to see this in the numbers because I hope that it makes Tony Khan realize Orange Cassidy can still be part of the show. I don't think that he should be part of big angles where he's going up against people that he should not be going up against. The one nice thing that I've talked about in my review of this show was that Orange Cassidy went for his finisher and Moxley no-sold it. That's what should happen. Moxley should not be selling for Orange Cassidy. Ever. Ever. Anyway, then we have quarter three, 8:30 p.m. to 8:45 p.m. This was the previous quarter also did have the promo between Swerve and Adam Page. Next up, we had quarter three, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. This was the Roderick Strong, Adam Cole backstage segment, along with the Sky Blue versus Red Velvet show match here. What's interesting is that we had the second last match of the night is the women's match. So Tony Khan switched it up a bit. And I think that this helped keep people to continue watching for the main event, because normally the main event drops quite a bit. It still did this week, but if you look at the numbers, they kind of stayed about the same the entire time. We didn't get a big, massive... Normally at the 9 o'clock hour, we get a surge of viewers, and I have my reasons as to why we didn't this time around. So that was quarter three, 813,000 viewers, 3%. Down from the previous, lost about 30,000 viewers, 29,000, I think. Quarter four, 8:45 to 9 p.m. We had the Miro. Then we had the Tony Storm backstage segment, the Samoa Joe squash match, and then they had a recap of the Tony Khan, Bryan Danielson Continental announcement, which I am looking forward to. I am definitely looking forward to this. And that was 808,000. We lost another 5,000 to this, so less than 1% or 1% of the audience. 9 o'clock, quarter five, 9 to 9:15 p.m. This is where always it goes up. Always. Young Bucks versus Commander and Penta. 812,000. They gained 4,000. It's not even 1% back. Our biggest time to get more viewers to tune in. And quarter two will not have a women's match. So there's a reason for them to keep watching. There's a big main event. 4,000 viewers tuned it back in for the 9 o'clock. And it was Young Bucks. They don't draw. Omega draws. Jericho draws. Moxley draws. Danielson draws. Christian draws. MJF draws. Samoa Joe draws. Not the Bucks. Anyway, 9 o'clock, if you would have had something else here, they might have actually gained viewers and they would have had a better main event in terms of viewers. Not in terms of the match. Next up is quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. The continuation, the match was done. Young Bucks and Kenny backstage segment, the Guns squash match, and then the beginning of the 8-man street fight. 804,000 viewers. We lost a bit more, minus 1%. Not a big difference here. 9:30, quarter 7, 9:30 p.m. to 9:45 p.m. The continuation of the street fight. 783,000 viewers. So we lost another 3% at this point in time. That's 20,000 viewers. 20,000 viewers isn't too much. And then 9:45 p.m. to 10 p.m. The continuation and conclusion of the 8-man street fight, along with a quick MJF and Jay White live promo. 764,000 viewers. We lost another 2%, so another close to 20,000 viewers. There's an overrun of 10 p.m. to 10:01 p.m. where MJF gets attacked by the Bullet Club. 759,000, like they lost another 1%. I don't really include that. That's always so hard to kind of say what's going to happen in the overrun. Was it people tuning in for the 10 o'clock show? I don't really give it that much. I don't look for, too much into that. But basically, Orange Cassidy starting off the show in the most nicest spot, because that's where you're going to start. Then it dips down, and 9 o'clock it goes back up, and then the main event goes back down again. So Orange Cassidy was still happening on quarter 2, so we lost everybody. Then we had the women's match here. Usually that doesn't do very well, although they kept more people than they normally do because it was in a better spot. Then we had the Young Bucks. We did not get that 9 o'clock increase that we normally do because it's the Bucks. The main event I thought was atrocious, but it kept solid numbers considering where they were, because we didn't have such a big 9 o'clock increase. It didn't have a big drop that we normally do for the main event. So that's it. That's what we're looking at. I think that you start, like, your biggest names that should be drawing is, I will say that as much of a train wreck as the 8-man street man fight was, it was a main event worthy show. And then you had MJF doing a promo at the end. I do commend Tony for that. He did the right thing in having the women's match earlier in the show. He had Orange Cassidy at the beginning of the show, so we can't lose too many viewers, but because it went into quarter 2, we lost a lot of viewers there. So he tried a little bit here. He had Young Bucks should not, I put Young Bucks on Collision. It's a dying show anyway, and they wanted Punk out of there. Let them take full control of Collision, and let's see if they can get numbers that Punk did. That's what we could do to make things interesting. And if they don't get the numbers and it just dies, get rid of the Bucks. I know that he's tied with Kenny, and that's really the main person that you want to be keeping. Adam Page, I don't think necessarily is it. He was kind of a little bit of a draw for AEW at one point with his storyline with Kenny Omega for that world title, like that world title chase. I think that I will say that probably Page was a bit of a draw at that point, but then Tony Khan just destroyed him in his world title run. That was handled so poorly, other than maybe the Danielson feud. Outside of that, it just kind of dipped. So, and Page looked like such a goof and idiot throughout that entire time. His promos lacked just everything. His probably most entertaining promo from what I remember during his title run was against Punk when he went into business for himself, where he didn't really make sense because it was kind of just not scripted, and he just kind of winged it by the sounds of it. But yeah, that was probably the most entertaining one. So anyway, that's AEW Dynamite quarterly hour ratings. That's all I have to say about this show. I'm hoping that next week they kind of learn from this, and some of the things they did right where they placed things. I think that just the talent that they were using and some of the angles that they should be doing. Also, for a go-home show for your Full Gear pay-per-view, should have had quite a bit more than this. Some stakes involved would have been a lot nicer. Jericho versus one of the Bucks with Kenny Omega in the corner, and the shenanigans that would ensue from that, I think would have actually helped and made more sense in this aspect. I think MJF maybe doing a little bit more with Jay White. I mean, Bullet Club just attacking him at the end, I don't know how much that really does. That's AEW Dynamite. Thank you all for watching. You've been bearded in. Beardage.